For this Porsche review, Leah could actually pick the color, and that's why she's also allowed to start this video here for us. This color is called Provence, and she also has some lavender from our garden. Maybe you can hold it against the paint. There we go.
Fits.
It's a match. It's a match. Right?
Let's go.
And now we're starting the review with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the all-new generation of the Porsche Panamera. There has been discussion, is it really that much all-new or is it an extended overhaul and so on? Well, overall, so many parts indeed have changed that you can say all-new generation, although the base chassis has been built on the previous generation. Let's take it that way. But there will be interesting news coming up, definitely, and also about the engine concepts and so on. Today, just released here today, when we're shooting our video, even more engines have been announced, like the GTS and the new Turbo S and so on. Soon more to that. Here in the front, you can see there's this horizontal stress here of the air intakes, also in the lower part and so on. And here this really prominent stands in on top of the hood, so this gives the car a really strong wide stance on the road. Matrix LED standard, optional HD Matrix LED, the ones you can also see here for even more high beam performance. And then in the side profile is 5 meters and 5 in a length, or 199 inches. However, you can also get a long wheelbase version, the executive version, that would also be available. This one, of course, a little bit more agile with the shorter wheelbase. 19 to 21 inch wheels. These here in between, 20 inch. As for that, I think that might be a good compromise between styling and also the driving comfort. And speaking of driving comfort, you get adaptive air suspension. And on top of that, you can also get a rear axis steering. Then the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction than the front wheels. Not exactly at standstill. It also has something to do with, long-term maintenance of the car and so on, that doesn't damage like tires and so on. Also when really slowly maneuvering, not such a huge effect, but then when you drive a little bit quicker, just in the city for U-turns and so on, then it's really effective actually. And this vehicle is also equipped with the optional Porsche Active Ride at 8,000 euros or dollars extra actually. And we also have like a demo from a demonstration vehicle there. It's not possible for the customer to do that with this smartphone here, that the vehicle individual with the hydraulic system go in all directions. The main purpose of that is to keep the car upright, however. That is, no matter what you do, accelerating, braking, leaning left, right, that it always stays upright, and you always have this function active then with the system, but you can even do an overcompensating function. We'll soon test it in the driving part. And another function of that is also this entry help here. When I open the door, you see how quickly that goes, and look at that large gap between the wheels. And since it's hydraulic, it's also now super quickly. When I close the door, it takes a while, and then there we go. It goes down again. Very impressive system indeed. Towards the rear of the vehicle, we can see that this beautiful light strip goes from left to the right all the way across. So the Panamera has stayed true to its original design, a little bit more refined, a little bit wider stance on the road definitely, and also, of course, as we know, real exhaust tips right there. The engine choice is mainly about how quick do you want your Panamera to be, around 5 seconds in the acceleration figure, 4 seconds or 3 seconds, and then you have two base engines, a 2.9 liter V6 bi-turbo, the one we also have here, right there, the V6, or alternatively the 4 liter V8 bi-turbo. So these two base engines, and they are available as pure combustion or then as the plug-in hybrid version. So here, this would be the base of the base Panamera, Grand Panamera. So there's a rear-wheel drive version available and all-wheel drive. This one here is the 4E, that's the hybrid system, 22 kilowatt hours net battery. So you have a realistic real range like 80 kilometers or 50 miles pure electric. Of course, the system also works together then, and you get the additional performance boost. We'll also talk about that later on in the review. This one also available as the 4S. Then the GTS, released today when we're shooting the video. That is also new then for the new generation, now at 500 horsepower. That one would be the pure combustion engine with the 4 liter V8. And then based on that, the hybrids for the Turbo and Turbo S e-hybrid, then with the highest horsepower output and also the quickest. The sportiest, they say, will be the GTS. It's also, as for lightweight and so on, it's lighter than the Turbo S. However, the quickest one will be the Turbo S. This one, by the way, also charges with 11 kilowatt, 3-phase, and that takes some 2 hours and 40 minutes because even AC charging somehow has a charging curve. And once again, we can take a look at this entry help here. Yeah, it looks pretty spectacular and it's impressive how quickly that goes up. But is it really necessary? I think the entry is also fine without it, actually. So, and then what we can also show you right here, this vehicle here is optionally equipped with a soft close function. So here, magic, there we go, closes really smoothly and softly. However, I still want to hear the door closing sound. Yeah, that's nice, perfect. And rear, also perfect. So very good door closing sounds indeed. And then inside of the doors, but first of all, the car key in this Porsche typical shape, really nice. And then here we have a soft touch leatherette on top of that one. It's really deep in there, you can touch that, great quality. Then contrast stitching in white, nice door handle as well. Then also here the window levers and so on. Just listen to that. And they have this 2-step clicking sounds, I love that. Inside of the doors here has also this structure, is also not just plain plastic or something, and there's a rubber ground on the lower part. Panamera 4 entry badge then here, really thick and wide or large entry badge. And we have also the Racetex steering wheel, and this is also the very first animal-free Porsche Panamera. You have the Papita retro styling with this houndstooth pattern. This looks retro style. For example, my neighbor has a 911 with this styling, like a first generation 911, very interesting. And then here, leatherette on the outside and some more Racetex. That's how Porsche calls it, microfiber. Oh, and look at that, how here in the microfiber it's like stands in this logo here. That is also beautiful work as for that. You might argue about the pattern. Some love it, this retro style pattern, and it really has a rich heritage at Porsche. Some don't like it, so I feel Porsche should also offer a high-grade perforated leatherette like BMW, for example, is offering. That would be very good in the whole portfolio. However, I have to say, at this moment, this is by far the most comfortable seat because the so-called Einsitzhöhe, listen and repeat, Einsitzhöhe, like how plush the top part bolstering is by far the best here with the fabric seat for the Panamera if you compare it to the animal skin surface. Then with the 189, 6'2", still have some headroom left. This is also equipped with the panoramic roof, which you can actually open. There we go. And is also not a slider to open or something. There's a real button I can press forward or backward to open it. I just love that. And then this touch button is for the rear part and this one for the front part. For the shades you see here, then for the front shade. And there's another shade in the rear. Here, in this case it's open, front one is closed, but you can rule them separately. Cockpit overview. So really everything newly designed. Screens, screens, screens. So we have digital instruments, a central infotainment screen, an optional, a passenger screen. And I cannot, can you see that actually from this angle? A little bit. But when you go straighter now, like straighter here, then we can see it better because this is only possible to see it like straight from here. But when you look from the sides, you cannot see it for safety reasons that the driver is not distracted by that. That's the thing, you know. And then here, dashboard, this is the animal-free version, as I said. It's also really soft here, so I like that. Then we have the analog clock still. Glove box is here, oh, with a lot of clutter. No one has seen that. Yeah, this is the famous Deutsche Parkuhr. You need this at certain parking spots. And it needs to look exactly like this. If it would be a different color, a different form, then you directly go to jail and burn in hell. German law. Then this very, very large middle console. It looks really impressive. What I found super cool is here we still have a manual volume jog like this with nice clicking sounds. Also the temperature unit has beautiful clicking sounds. I love that. Then this metal knurling brown shaver style, like the shifting lever, like here. Needs some shaving in the morning still. Also here seat cooling together with fabric seats. That's perfect. It's the best combination for summer actually. And you can activate seat heating and seat cooling at the same time For example, when it's raining in the wintertime and it's cold and wet outside, then this combination might make sense. So I love that it's still here available. However, this huge middle console in high gloss black has its disadvantages. You'll maybe later see it in the driving review. Sorry, I didn't want to show you like stupid. I was covering a little bit of sweat here because it's really hot here today. Yeah, you always have to watch out that something you do might be a symbol, like, and then you have to say, oh no, it wasn't the symbol that was what is being meant. So here, this high gloss black thing, it can put a lot of glare directly in your face when the sun is coming from here, then here mirrored to there, and then I was really glared by this whole high gloss black. So it's not the ideal solution, I feel. Also this here, that you can move this here to fold it up. Why not put this one like stationary and then you can just fold it up? I'm not sure why have they made this one in a movable way. The reason for that is probably because it's kind of like it locks the thing a little bit here, holds it in place, that you cannot just open it like this. But what would be the problem to slide open like this, So because this one, not sure how long this will remain that way. Here's an inductive charging pad with a cooling now, so it can't overheat that much. 2 USB-C chargers, adaptive cup holders right here, and then this beautiful large armrest here covered with Racex microfiber, folded up, and then you can store all your clutter there. You can also sort your clutter in different cabins here, 12-volt power supply, for example. So many solutions I found beautiful because I can still manual control the climate unit. I can manual with a real feedback button control the roof here. On the steering wheel I have volume control, drive control and select. Still I have modern infotainment and so on, but here you have to learn about the technology. You do that with just watching our review here, but when you sit down in this vehicle and want to drive and control the basic functions, you know exactly what to do. And I love that about vehicles, that you don't have to wait a minute, I want to do a basic function, and then now I need 2 hours to learn how to do some basic functions, and sometimes when I touch something doesn't work. This is still, like the classic Porsche interface, and I love that vehicle for that. Driver POV, here the driving modes at the steering wheel, very nice to control, and then you can either watch it here in the instruments or also then in the central infotainment system, so that's possible. Then here you control the individual tiles here of the digital instruments, so middle side or the left side, like this, what you want to see, G-forces, battery status in the middle part. You can also change the whole layout for that. So that's actually all looking pretty cool. And you can also control something in the head-up display. So if I switch through, now I'm in the head-up display mode, and I can even put some, there we go, like some instrument styling in the head-up display. So here in the camera it's not all that well visible like on your real eye, but for real eyes it is really nice to see, but I would probably rather keep it a little bit limited. Then here we have also shifting pedals, nice feedback sound for that, and on the left side also a manual volume jog, for example. And this favorite button here, I, for example, set to this speed limit warning that I can easily deactivate it. Infotainment system, it's actually a good overview. And here, for example, you can pick the individual things. You can also lift the car up here for basement garage and so on, save the position, even via GPS, for example. Then here in comfort, you can also activate these additional Porsche Active Ride functions. We're going to test them out when we drive the car later on. You also have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto integration, of course, all the way full screen. This main menu is actually also very nice and easy. And in these drive settings, you also can, for example, retract the spoiler. It is done while driving usually, but of course, when you want to do it manually, that also always looks pretty cool from the outside. Rear seats, super interesting. Look at that. Here, soft touch at the rear doors. Feels really nicely. Contrast stitching. Here, this part is a little bit harder, but it still has a nice structure and somewhat a soft touch, so I'm happy with that. And now this is super interesting, definitely also in the rear. Look at that, the seat controls. You can even make this front part of the seat in the rear longer, and we rarely see that on the car market. Only like, BMW 7 Series, Mercedes S-Class and so on. And yeah, you can also compare a Porsche Panamera to these other executive cars. Why not in some respects? And you can also change the back part of the seat, like the inclination of that, all electric with these controls. Also, always interesting how you fold the seats from here, that you have like here a button next to the head restraint. It's actually a quite practical solution. And also the comfort here from this microfiber cushion is extraordinary. And once again, this fabric surface here for the seating adds the best comfort here, the best comfort setup. Once again, you might argue about this seat pattern and if they could also offer something else, but it is at this moment the most comfortable choice also for the rear seats. And also when I lean back, it's great comfort, although for this length it doesn't offer the most legroom. That's true. Here when I'm driving with the seat as I would be driving like this, there is, it fits for tall adults, yes, but not more. If you go for the long wheelbase executive version, this of course would be a little bit more than in legroom if you want that, but it works. And you either have the single seat setup, but there's also a through bench available, but this is a little bit more exclusive, and it's definitely more comfortable as you might expect, and you have even more functions available. First of all, electric here, you have an own screen, you can even watch the speed or the G-forces from the front, and fabric seats on the rear with seat cooling and seat heating at the same time, possible that you dry out in like wet winter rain or something like that. So rarely do we see these combinations here. That's pretty impressive. And you can also control the shades. For example, here, this shade can be separately controlled from the front shade, that you only apply the rear shade here for this small glass roof. And for example, also here the rear shade, I will also once again show that to you in the trunk part one more time, but yeah, that you can get different perspectives of that. And then we have here this armrest, and it also has this really soft patterns here, so I'm really happy with the quality of the animal-free interior. Racetex microfiber, you fold this up, some more space underneath, but you can also use this one here as a ski hedge to load things through. And then here, more features, cup holders, you can lift it up a little bit like this. So yeah, once again, I have to say, it doesn't offer like a full flat seating, especially not in this version and so on. And considering that this is not the long wheelbase version, it already has impressive comfort and features here in the rear, I feel. Or what is your take on that? Most obviously, we're here in this parking garage, and we just heard another car being started up, and Leah said, "Hey, wait a minute, this is the sound of a 911. I was so proud. I love that. Thank you, Leah. So back to the Panamera for today. What about trunk and boot space and so on? Here you see how it's cut out. Very interesting, definitely not the most accessible one. However, since it opens in this fastback or liftback style, it is easy to access here. Yes, it has this, this strong lip, but then the access here is very, very good. 495 liters, or here with the plug-in hybrid, only 430 liters, so a little bit limited. However, the length then here is more than 1 meter or 40 inches, and the width, it depends. So here at the side, it's like 90 centimeters or 35 inches, and then you have like this additional side box here. Yeah, nothing underneath, still well usable, I feel. And what's also interesting, that not the high voltage battery, but just the small one, that like the starter battery is hidden then right here. So yes, even these high voltage systems, even electric vehicles still need the small batteries, like for the low voltage board and so on. This additional shelf, by the way, you could also deactivate completely. And now what's also interesting here, by the way, cable storage, you can also fix that somewhere, like here in the front part, for example, this or back there would also be possible, yes. And then we can also fold the seats, and we have to do it from the rear actually. There we go. And then we have this split here, either like this. Yeah, it's actually 1/3, 2/3. There we go. This is then the full setup. Always interesting, by the way, how you can control here this rear shade from the rear compartment like this. Yeah, it's always a nice electric feature. No? One more time. Okay, about these touch buttons. Sport Plus. Nice. That was 50 kilometers an hour to 200 kilometers an hour. Where was the Lear meter? What the hell?
It was okay.
Yeah, I mean, like the acceleration figure here from 0 to 100 is like 4 seconds for the 4E.
Taycan was crazy.
Yeah,
But here it is.
we recently had the 911 GTS hybrid.
Yeah.
And yeah, the problem is when, you know, Lear is co-driving these extreme vehicles, something with 4 seconds in the acceleration, it's like, oh, you know, I don't even waste my voice for a Lear meter. Yeah, that's the thing, you know, you get used to the better stuff or to the more extreme stuff, and then the other thing is like, you know, yeah, but what was still very good acceleration, also really refined. Here also with that all-wheel drive, very calm and collected. Sound-wise, didn't give us too much. However, we also had full battery power, so that was the best acceleration possible. Yes, when the battery is lower, it will bit by bit lose also some of its power. That is the truth. However, this vehicle here with the 2.9 liter V6 bi-turbo, even if the battery is completely depleted, I mean, it will never be like completely 0%, you know. You will always have a little bit maybe, you know, and also when you go off throttle, you get some recuperation and so on. But the thing is that it's really like full battery, full power, and then it decreases bit by bit. You know, I specifically asked Porsche for that. Yeah, they confirmed that it's actually that way. But still, I have to say, you will still have good power, of course, even if you don't have the battery assist. But then it doesn't make sense because you carry more weight. So it makes sense when you frequently recharge that battery, and then you also have some electric assist, even here when you're already at speed. Wow. And once again, at 190, that goes so quickly and it's so smooth. We're in the Sport Plus mode, as I said, so we have stiffer suspension then, good feeling of the brakes as well. And the car, even though we have not activated Porsche Active Ride yet, this car is equipped with an 8,000 euro extra, soon when we talk about that. I mean, no matter if we brake or accelerate, the car always stays upright. That is the thing with this new suspension system, even if you don't have this special compensating function active. Yeah, also here, I mean, it reacts like in a game or something like that, you know, like you might say it does add a little bit of artificial feeling, and I have to, I'm not sure what the Sprinter in front of us want to signal us, I don't know, maybe that he likes the vehicle. So I feel that with this Porsche Active Ride, the ride itself becomes a little bit more artificial, even if you haven't specifically activated all of these features, you know. So because we're also used that the car leans a little bit, and when it doesn't do that, you feel like, wait a minute, am I still driving a real car or is this a game, you know? And indeed, because this suspension technology is so sophisticated and so, let's say, futuristic, it feels a little bit unnatural because it's so unreal, you know. Look at that. I mean, like 140 kilometers an hour, I do a lane change, and there's no leaning at all, and it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? But not in a like bad way. They've done a bad job, you know. But just then, how is this possible? You know what I mean? And also super silent in here, so it will also be more silent than a Porsche Cayenne, for example. This lower position in the vehicle is also good for the passenger, for example. We experienced that a lot of times now. I like SUV seating position when you get in and out of the vehicle, but when you start driving the sedans or estates and so on, do have a better driving feeling both for the driver and for the passenger in comparison to the SUV building form. These fabric seats here, the Pepita retro fabric seats, also add to the comfort. They are definitely the most comfortable seats for this vehicle, even if you don't share, you know, like the passion for the pattern or something. They are, yeah, and I mean, when it's getting really hot in here, then, I mean, I think with the ID.7 recently, we've seen microfiber seats with seat cooling. That is very rare. And here, fabric seats with seat cooling. I think we've never seen it before in our entire car life or something. that is really impressive. And yeah, I activated it now, it really works. So getting a little bit cooler here when you have some racing action going on, that is definitely something. And I mean, we have the air suspension here, and I can still leave it in Sport Plus as long as the road is actually fine and so on. Sport mode is still sporty. You also have the sport exhaust system active then. By now it's not as aggressive as Sport Plus. Still you feel the suspension difference. You can also individually set that. For example, if you want just this parameter here, and yeah, you can always rule it just as you like. But there's so much more to do with this vehicle. For example, also when you turn it back into normal hybrid mode here, since the battery is quite full, RPMs turn off. You can also see that very well in the RPM meter. So now we're driving pure electric, and you can use this hybrid system here in very, very different ways, you know. First of all, what's very interesting here, we're in the 6th gear, shows me, and we're, whoa. That would have been very expensive if the police saw that, actually. So, and now 5th, 4th gear, and we're still electric, you know. And I can just tell you guys, when there's always the discussion about electric vehicles, what is missing? Yes, you might say shifting is too old school or something, but I feel it's really awesome, you know. So we are shifting, although we are in the electric mode. That's very interesting, right? You now might ask yourself, can you also manually shift that when you use the pedals? No, in a way of here the combustion engine hops on. So that's the thing. So when you use shifting pedals, the vehicle does expect that you want to drive with the combustion engine. But here now, when I can even do it one more further time, like go to e-power mode, and then let's see when we accelerate electric. So here I see like what is the maximum electric acceleration here. You can see it also works. In the city, countryside road, you can definitely do that full time. Only when you really pin it down, like the throttle, then the combustion engine gets active, even if you're not in the like Sport Plus mode and so on. So for motorway acceleration onto the motorway, it's probably better to use the hybrid mode or then pin it down. But here you can see acceleration all electric. We try to stay in that area. Yeah, if you don't want to accelerate too hard, you can drive it pure electric. So the pure electric range here, like 80 kilometers or 50 miles, is very realistic. What you can drive pure electric. Even on the motorway, that's possible. And that really depends on, do you want to commute electric first and then recharge, or maybe to work or something like that? Or the other possibility would be go to the hybrid mode. And then even if you have the battery here, the combustion engine goes on, because then the car is thinking, okay, motorway, higher speed, let's use the combustion engine. And then maybe the battery assists, for example, when we accelerate and so on. So it really depends. You can drive this car in so many different ways. That's what's making this technology also so interesting, you know. You have the very same car, but you can have so many different use cases, and also already in driving mode. Even further when you really use the Porsche Active Drive. And now, yeah, normal hybrid driving mode, that's for this vehicle the normal, and then you go to comfort, and then the Porsche Active Ride. The system is of course always there. That means it's not shaking when we accelerate or when we brake. It's already reducing, you know, keeping the car upright, but it goes even more extreme, let's say. So here there's active tilt control and active pitch control. You can activate it, but only in the normal driving mode. Also Taycan there, Taycan Sport Turismo. And now what's happening is that this keeping the car even is even more extreme. So when I'm, for example, now on the brakes, the car goes, let's say, a little bit up in the front, that it stays upright. You know what I mean? So it doesn't dive in. Also, when I accelerate, you don't feel that the car is leaning backwards. It's also keeping it upright. And also when I'm doing like some left-right, you really feel that. You know, you feel that the suspension, actually like in the side movement, you feel it even more. You feel the suspension is kind of working against it. It's not in a way that it's like extremely leaning into the corner like a motorcycle, but like a little bit in a way. So, and we've been discussing this one since we first drove this system. Drove it in the Audi e-tron GT facelift, in the Porsche Taycan facelift, and here now in the new Panamera. You do feel that, and it is a very interesting system. Let's now get into this corner here. And I think we can easily do it with like a 90, 100 kilometers an hour. There's also this bump inside the corner, let's see. Beautifully done, wow. And we're just in normal driving mode, but we have the Porsche Active Ride Active. How do you feel about this?
I don't like it.
She doesn't like it, she doesn't like it. I mean, because...
It's so unnatural.
Unnatural, yeah. I mean, it feels amazing in a way.
Yeah.
It feels strange once again. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but we were leaning like a little tiny bit into the corner in comparison to what it's off. But the thing is, if you have that system here, and even in a normal suspension here, this car doesn't lean so much in the corner anyways from the suspension technology.
I like it when you feel the corner.
Yeah, she likes it when you feel it. The thing is really that the tech is already that sophisticated. The question is if you need something more on top of that, you know, or if it's maybe a little bit too much. And we had the same feeling, for example, with the Mercedes GLE, GLS, or the S-Class Coupe and so on, that we were feeling it's maybe a little bit over the top, and it adds this thing of artificial leanness, you know. And Porsche is about tech, but it's also about a natural sporty driving experience. And honestly, it's super impressive. It's amazing what they've done with that one, but we both agree actually that we would not go for the Porsche Active Ride, save the money for that option, and more enjoy this purest Porsche driving feeling, you know. So what we ended up is that we rather deactivate these special functions than even when we are in this normal hybrid driving mode, and just enjoy it as it is, you know. And even then, it's not leaning at all. It's already that flawless. Pricing, now it gets really painful as usual with Porsche. So an entry-level Panamera rear-wheel drive, naked spec, around 100,000 euros or US dollars. Yeah, but then if you pick this one here, hybrid, and then also with a lot of specs and so on, Porsche Active Ride, 180,000 euros as the vehicle stands here. That hurts. However, if you go for like a Turbo S or something and some more spec, you can spec a Panamera even to 250,000. As for the fuel economy, it's always hard to say here with the plug-in hybrid because it just totally depends on do you drive recharged or not. But roughly you can say you still need some 9 liters on 1 kilometer, like some 30 mpg figure. And it also consumes like more like towards the 30 kilowatt hours in 100 kilometers for the pure electric range. Because if you think about, hey, well, it's like a 22 kilowatt hour battery and then we have some 80 kilometers of range, it needs to be more than 22 kilowatt hours in 1 kilometers as for the electric consumption, right? So it won't be that like efficiency wonder. The hybrid system makes sense if it saves taxes. For example, in Germany, you pay half of the taxes per month for your company vehicle if you take it as the hybrid in comparison to the pure combustion engine. And of course, if you want to recharge frequently to drive electric locally and then have no local emissions and so on, that of course makes sense if you have a short commute to work or something like that, and then long-term and really more fun power and so on, maybe on the German Autobahn. That would be a use case for that. As for this generational change, yes, I would say it's a new generation, even though the base design is not so much changed and there might be like the same broad chassis. So many things, both on the exterior and on the interior, have been touched. And I really like this version here. I mean, it's a very unique color on the outside. Leah loves it. So yeah, she was able to pick that one here today for us. Yeah, inside, this one here as the animal-free vehicle, I think the most comfortable seats, this is also a very important thing. I still think Porsche should also offer high-grade leatherette because some might want like the same leather styling, but just, you know, in an animal-free version. But this one at the moment, the most comfortable seating choice. And to me, I think the Panamera is the most relaxed Porsche, I would say. You have the low seating position, at the same time you have sportiness, but definitely more comfort than with the 911. So at this moment, probably I would say it's one of my favorite Porsches. Or what about you? Tell me in the comments and tune in now to the base Panamera or the turbo review. Had that one combined. Or what about we go a little bit more in the 911 direction?